Hello, everybody. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn on the chat overlay because we are streaming on my profile. We're also streaming on Michael's. So you guys have got us both in both of those places. Hi, Brian Berman's here. Tracy Cadillac's here. Amber Williams. Hi. It's always good to see you guys. We'll hang on for just a second, let some other people hop in here. Anybody who is coming in, definitely let us know. Say hi in the chat. Those messages are going to show up over there just on the other side of Michael where Melissa has popped in. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Welcome to Tilted Bench, everybody. For those of you who don't know, this is a show that we do weekly on Wednesdays at noon, talking about coaching, what coaching is, what it does, what works about it. And today I'm super happy to have Michael Cassidy with us. Michael, hi.
Hey, Nathan. Thanks a lot for having me on. This is really cool. I like how you have everything set up here. It's nice.
Oh, thanks. It's a lot. I like playing with, kind of the techie side of some of this stuff. So
Yeah.
part of this is a labor of love, Hi, Daniel. Hi, Tanya. Glad you guys made it. So for those of you who don't know, Michael's main thing is active in tech. Michael, why don't you tell us about that? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah. So thank you again for having me on. This is going to be fun. So active in tech is it's kind of evolved over time, but it's a place where people in the tech community. You don't have to be in the tech community. Just if you use technology, that I'm here to help you live a more active and healthy lifestyle. I think the modern world has, presented us with a lot of challenges in terms of taking care of ourselves, and some, and it always, I don't know. I always think of the movie Wall-E. And Nathan, I know I feel like we've had an interaction about this before, but I look at the movie Wall-E and I'm like, wow, if we don't change our habits and focus on our health, it could very well turn out like something like Wall-E. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Wall-E, Wall-E's about this little robot that's kind of left on planet Earth to clean up the trash, and humankind has left the Earth because they've just destroyed the Earth and everything's automated. People are just sitting on like chairs and watching their iPads or whatever, and just their bone density is decreasing, and their mental health is not good. And I just thought, all of us need to do something about this, so that's not our future. And also, when we take care of ourselves, usually the things that are good for us happen to be good for the planet too.
I like that you said that, Michael. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that so plainly, that the things that are good for us are good for the planet too. Like really good for us, right? Not
yeah, because I think, yeah, it's kind of that simple. And I've come to realize that over time in just like posting and coaching people, and and that's not my main goal. Or I want to help people. I mean, I do care about the planet, but that's not my main purpose. But it just so happens when you're taking care of the earth, when you're not putting like pesticides and herbicides and all this stuff in the soil, you're getting better food, higher quality food that has been shown to have more nutrients. When you look at chickens who are pasture raised and they're eating what they're supposed to be eating, they're producing eggs with a more orangish colored yolk, and that yolk has a lot more nutrients in it than just a conventionally raised chicken that's cramped in whatever they do with conventionally raised chickens, and given antibiotics and all this other kind of stuff. That's just one example. But yeah, and there's plenty of other examples as well.
Hey, Donna, glad you made it too. And Tracy said she's already hooked because Disney is amazing. For those of you who don't know, and I think most of you that I'm seeing in the chat are Amish eggs, Amber, definitely. Most of y'all probably know Michael and I both have small children, so Disney is kind of a part of life.
Yeah.
I, Michael, with Active in Tech, are you at a point where you are running cohorts? Do you have one-on-one clients? Kind of what are the mechanics like on that right now?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me of that. So I've done some pivoting more recently, but I think I have a good thing now. I have a community where people can come in and we have fitness challenges, fitness snacks we can do every day, meal ideas, and things like that. It's kind of a collaborative community. And then I do have a cohort, which is an 8-week cohort that takes you from I like to tell people if you come to this cohort, I want to teach you how to become fit for good. I don't want you to have to do any other program like whatever your goals might be: weight loss, strength gain, body recomposition, increasing productivity, improving mental health, and so we have the cohort, and then I'm just starting to do one-on-one sessions as well. I find that if I go through someone's day with them one on one, we can kind of come up with some habits that they can change, or just things they can implement in their life. Something that's sustainable and easy to keep doing. Because I think one of the big things in active in tech is sustainability. I don't want people to start doing things that aren't sustainable for them. For example, I've tried like the keto diet before, which is a diet consisting of very low carbohydrates, and it just wasn't. I did it for a while, and I had good results, but it just wasn't for me. It was something I couldn't keep doing. And with a family and with little kids, sometimes we like to go out to eat, and I like to have a social life when I can. And just that diet didn't allow me to do that so easily. It just wasn't sustainable. So I believe that you should do things that are sustainable. Otherwise, if you don't see yourself doing it like a year from now, 3 years from now, there's no reason to really even start it.
I'm glad you got us there, because for those of you who, all of you who are listening, you may have put this together right as Michael's talking there, but this is the title of the episode, right? That your habits, the help that you get from that, like your story, all of that stuff is unique to you, right, Michael? Like you can't be trying to do things that are going to work for somebody else. If they don't work for you, you're going to drop it. I mean, this is what happens with right, those New Year's resolutions with people going to the gym and diets, and we see people. I mean, I drop stuff, left and right.
Yeah, exactly. And people, if you don't think you have enough time for, that's why I fitness snacks is a big thing for me now, because I want people to not have any excuses to start getting active and moving, because it just takes such little time and can have a big impact on your health and fitness. But yeah, just doing what works for you is got to be one of the most important things, because yeah, it is interesting how unique we are, how unique our mindsets are, how unique our bodies are. Something that works really good for one person might not work at all for another person.
we we had talked, Michael and I had talked a little bit about ergonomics, everybody, and about the way you sit, your desk setup, mice, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, this is something that you have to consider too, right, Michael? Like you need to build your environment in a way that's going to help you make the good habits and then sustain them, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we were kind of going. We had a back and forth there a little bit about wrist health, and you showed me this mouse that you had that keeps your wrist in a more neutral position. It kind of looks like a spacecraft, so that's pretty cool. But it's yeah, it's important to set up your environment for success too, in terms of health and mental health and things like that. That's why I have like a sit stand riser at my work desk, because then I just get up. And I think staying active throughout the day is important. I mean, studies have shown that sitting for 8 hours, compared to sitting for 4 hours, will increase your risk of from all cause mortality by like 20% or something like that, which is not an insignificant number. So it's just, and it doesn't even
20% is
necessarily
big.
matter. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily matter what you do. It's just that you are doing something. I mean, like if you like to lift weights, lift weights. If you like to run, run. But the most important thing is doing something. And just standing up has a big benefit compared to sitting. And So I think it's important to set up your environment so that you're able to do things. So I have a sit stand riser. I have this mini stepper that I use because I don't have an under the desk treadmill that some people have. I still want to try one out, but my mini stepper is good enough for me. It's not as expensive as a treadmill, and it lets me get up and be a little more active. And I usually do that before I do like a fitness break or something like that as a warm up. Um, and yeah, what else? Yeah, there's a lot of important things with ergonomics. I mean, I need to get a better chair. Even though I try not to sit down a ton, I think it's important to have a decent chair with some lumbar support because posture is so important, especially yeah. And I got distracted. Daniel said morning walks changed my life. Yeah, walking is so underrated for everything, for weight loss, for mental health, for resetting and helping out with your circadian rhythm. I think waking up and getting outside as soon as possible and just exposing yourself to the sun and going on a walk, breathing the fresh air. Speaking of fresh air, we don't have such fresh air in Minnesota right now. They have all these fires in Canada, and it keeps bringing it down to us. Anyways, but yeah, usually morning walks are great.
We when the fires first, I don't want to take us too far down that tangent, but I'm in New York City right now, but normally I live in North Carolina. At that point when it was kind of the worst a few weeks ago here in New York, I know like the skies were really clogged. But even as far south as we were in North Carolina, it was, we were smelling it and feeling it a little bit. Michael, with all of this, like you've got some pretty good habits that you've built yourself. Like I know a lot of us get to see when you show us the videos about the fitness snacks and stuff, which are great to see kind of in motion. You've got a little bit of a balance too between you do have some stuff that you do where you have tools, gadgets, weights, other things that are like the stepper
Mhm.
that are helping you to do stuff. But you do a lot of stuff that's just free, like you just do it at the floor or against the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your own story and kind of what got you here, how you ended up in this place that you uniquely are?
Yeah. Well, I'll kind of give an abbreviated version of the story, but so I used to, I worked in the convention trade show business my whole life. It was a family business. So we set up exhibits and booths at different trade shows across the country, usually in Minnesota. But I don't know if you've been to like the auto show or like a motorcycle show or a hardware store show, medical device show. We set all those up. So I would build these booths and exhibits with my hands, and after the show is over, we take them down and ship them off to the next show. So I did that for I'm still involved in it. It's a family business. But I did that for over 10 years before 2020 and the pandemic, and then once that happened, the live events industry, trade shows, and everything kind of came to a halt. I didn't know what the future looked like. I didn't know if everything was going to go virtual because a lot of these shows started to go virtually, um, and so I started looking for something else to do, something that was more pandemic proof, I guess. Um, and one of my friends, he went through this tech boot camp to become a DevOps engineer or a cloud engineer. And he was a bartender his whole life, and he told me about how in 6 months he went from a bartender with no degree to a DevOps engineer, making a lot of money working from home. I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna try this out. So I set off on this journey to become a DevOps engineer, and there I discovered LinkedIn, and I started meeting all these different people in tech. And as I got further along, there was just a common occurrence, a common thing that was happening between a lot of people. A lot of people were telling me, they started working remotely and they gained all this weight, or they started working remotely and their back started hurting. They started having back pain more, and just in general, even people who weren't working remotely, it seemed to be a common thing that people just were sedentary, working in tech. And I mean, that makes sense. And I've been interested in health and fitness my whole life. I had this back. I won't get too deep into it, but I had this back injury in, I think it was 2007, and I herniated two discs in my lower back. Um, and before that moment, I still cared about health and fitness, but I wasn't doing it the right way. I was just trying to get as strong as I possibly could. I wasn't eating healthy. I wasn't focused on like having good form while I was working out. I wasn't focused on being flexible and mobile. Um, I wasn't really focused on anything except getting stronger. So I ended up herniating two discs in my back. I later found out that I had degenerative discs, foraminal narrowing. That's the shrinking of the space in between the discs, and and herniated discs. So it was a long journey after that. It took me a while to figure out, um, surgery was the only option according to a lot of the doctors that I saw. But I just didn't want to. I thought I was too young to, this happened when I was 20, and I just didn't want to do that. I went to physical therapy. I had like an epidural injection. All these things didn't really help at all. So I decided to figure it out for myself. I changed my diet. I changed my lifestyle. I I focused a lot on posture. I focused a lot on exercise form, and through all these changes, I kind of found what worked for me, and what was sustainable for me. And I got in better health and better shape. And now today I'm, pain free. And my priorities have shifted. Now I'm focused on longevity because I have two daughters. I want to be able to keep up with them and, play with them and roll around on the ground with them and throw them in the air. I've found that what I have done for my health and myself has allowed me to do this, and I think it will allow me to do it for decades to come. And I want to be able to do it with their kids too when if that happens. Um, so yeah, that's kind of a side track there. But so I've always been into health and fitness, and I saw this need in the tech community, and I was like, oh well, I know I think I can help. So I started posting about things you can do to get more active during the day, healthier choices in terms of food, non-toxic living. That's another thing that I talk about often too, that people don't often think about in terms of your health. We're surrounded, in this modern world, we're surrounded by screens, computer screens. We're also surrounded by things like EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, just chemicals in everyday cleaning products, chemicals in our carpet, candles, food, pesticides in foods, just all this kind of stuff. So I started talking about all these things, posture, um, I call it, pillars of health and fitness. And it kind of started catching on, and I was having a lot of fun doing it. So that kind of brought me to where I am. Sorry, that kind of went on forever,
It's
but
no, it's a good journey. This is the comment that Brian just made. This is why I put it up on the screen. This is what happens. We can have these moments that kind of take us on what seems like a weird sidetrack, but it takes us somewhere that's actually a better path for us.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
This from Sam here about overcoming things and how I haven't seen Paul in the comments, but Paul's here usually, and I find myself oddly enough quoting him almost every week. But he always talks about how your story can become somebody else's survival guide. Like the things that you have been through can put you in a position where when you tell your story, you write that out, you explain it, and other people hear that, and it helps them go forward.
Right.
However winding the path may be, right? I mean, I know
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me, I've also had some like back problems and this and that, and some of the things that have motivated me have been a concern for longevity, a concern for, well, I don't want to let my physical body fall apart, because it doesn't matter whether or not I keep my mind sharp. If my body fails me, I'm going to be, up the creek. And I don't know if you guys in the comments remember this, and Michael, I don't know if you've seen this one, but there's there was a commercial that came out, might have been a Super Bowl ad or whatever, but it was this like old man who was like lifting weights regularly. He was kind of doing it in secret. And like throughout the story of the commercial, you're like, why is he lifting weights? And then they make it to Christmas. And at Christmas, he goes and he picks up his granddaughter and holds her up to put the star on top of the tree. So, like, that's his why. The whole time he was doing that, that's why he was doing it. When you're talking to people, Michael, do you find that a lot of people struggle with their own activeness, their own kind of levels of health? They're concerned with that because maybe they don't have their why in the right place to motivate them to do it?
Yeah, I think it seems like people have a lot of excuses, I guess, in terms of like time for themselves, or else they think it might be selfish to take care of themselves. But I do think, finding your why is definitely important, because people say they want to lose weight, but maybe they haven't really thought about like the why behind that. Maybe it's for so they can extend their health. Maybe it's for someone. Maybe it's just so they can have a better time with their kids. Maybe it's so they can go on a hike without getting super tired. Maybe it's so they can travel, and things like that. Um, but and then another thing too, like the mind and body are connected, and I think, I mean, it sounds obvious, but sometimes I feel like we forget about that. So if you're not taking care of your body, you're leaving a lot on the table in terms of like how well you can perform mentally, because the healthier you eat, the better you take care of yourself and exercise, the better off your mindset can be, and the better off you'll mentally perform, and things like that.
We have a real kind of cultural belief that, and I would say maybe this applies to the West as a whole, where we do see like spirit or mind and body as these different kind of things. And so we talk about, oh, you have to go to the gym, but then you also need to, do things to keep your mind active. And we don't think about them side by side. Do you think that this is something that maybe because of the nature of the work is more prevalent in tech?
Yeah, I think so. I think of people like, for example, like Elon Musk, like he's talked about how he worked like 120 hours a week or something absurd. Now he's like scaled it back to 80, or I don't know. In the past, I know he hasn't taken care of his body, and I think to myself, he would be that much more successful if he did take the time to take care of his body and his health, um, because the mind and the body are connected. And I think, people think also that maybe they're gonna not have time to work out, or working out is gonna take away from like the work they're doing, or the time they have to work. But I found that when I do like these fitness snacks, for example, I come back and I'm more productive, and really I'm not taking any time away. If anything, I'm adding time, because I'm able to be more productive. I have more energy, and things like that.
when you when you're finding like that extra energy, the just difference in the way it affects your mindset, I mean, that's going to have a big impact on mental health too, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that, yeah, and um, I found that when you are active and when you eat better, you tend to sleep better, and sleeping is one of the most important things for your mindset, and your well-being. I mean, sleeping fixes a lot of things, and so and then when you sleep better, you have more energy, and then you can be more active. It's kind of, it all has this snowball effect, either way. When I don't sleep well, I'm more irritable. I crave more junk food. I don't want to exercise. So I think it all it all has a synergistic effect.
Yeah, I mean, I find that for sure. Like if I don't sleep well, if I spend all day cooped up inside, and like I can get pretty grumpy, but if I can get outside and go for a walk, like Daniel mentioned walks earlier, like that's often enough to kind of at least get my mindset. I mean, even just emotionally, like to get me kind of turning a corner. I think exercise has that effect in general. I used to do yoga a little bit, and yoga was one of those things, just like the stretching, kind of getting your body moving. There's something about that kind of pulls at your mind and invites your mind and your heart to kind of open up too.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't mean that to sound woo woo, because I think that's absolutely true.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things I've gotten into. This reminds me of meditation. Speaking of like woo woo, and I used to think that a lot about meditation until I tried it. And I have this. This is an aura ring. It measures certain like health metrics, including like your resting heart rate, your heart rate, your HRV, your heart rate variability, the difference between time between your heartbeat, and that metric, and breathing also. That metric has been shown. The higher your HRV, the more able you are to deal with stress. The more resilient you are to stress. Um, so this my aura ring told me that I should try meditation or whatever, and I've never, I always like I don't do it. So I tried it, and it tracked my heart rate and my heart rate variability, and I found just in the 5-minute session of meditation, and focused, intentional, mindful breathing, and just prompts to like let the worries of the day wash away, just basic stuff like that. And I found that my HRV went up significantly, my heart rate went down significantly, and then I slept better that night just from doing 5 minutes of meditation. And so I think there are things that we often dismiss that might work for us and are worth giving it a shot. And so for me, in my case, meditation was one of those things. And I think I've heard from other people there's kind of a cumulative effect of meditation as well. Someone told me that their average resting heart rate, went down like 6 beats per minute after a few weeks of consistently practicing meditation. And breathing, resonance breathing, the physiological sigh. I could talk about different kinds of breath work that has been shown to decrease anxiety, and things like that. But it's all, there's so many things out there, but you gotta pick and choose.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there. I mean, like you said, it's good to be open to checking out other things because there are plenty of options out there. So we're drawing up on the end of our time here, everybody. Michael, tell us real quick, what's the best way for everybody to get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me is through LinkedIn, and connect with me. I'll connect with you. That's always welcome. And or you can check out my website, activeintech.com. I recently started doing YouTube Shorts. That's been kind of fun. I'd like to talk with you a little more about that, Nathan. I don't really know what I'm doing there. And I think it is good to, as like a creator, wannabe creator or whatever. I think it's good to try to branch out too. So yeah, either LinkedIn, my website, maybe YouTube. I have some podcast episodes on YouTube as well where I talk to people who are either entrepreneurs or in tech, but they also take care of themselves. So I'm kind of trying to feature people who have found that their health is important in their performance in their jobs and in their life.
Good stuff. And right, have you started? You're running your own podcast, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I just put the episodes on YouTube. Yep.
Good stuff. Michael, the last thing before we say goodbye, I'm going to let you have the whole screen. I'm going to turn off myself in the chat overlay, and you can leave us with a last bit of wisdom, a takeaway, whatever you want us to remember, and then I'll come back in and we'll say goodbye, everybody. All right, here you go.
Cool. I guess the one thing I'd like to quickly mention is that we all have a unique story, and sometimes you don't think your story matters, or you don't think it's going to have an impact, but it will on someone. And I didn't think my backstory or my journey into better health would benefit anyone, or I thought it was already out there. There's so much talk about health and fitness. That's a saturated space. I'm not going to leave an impact there at all. But I started sharing, and people liked it. People have messaged me. You've helped me with my back pain. I got like a mini stepper and my back pain has gone away. Or I've lost some weight and I'm staying on track because of your posts. And I'm not saying I know everything or I'm super great at posting, but uh, whether you think you can help someone or not, you probably can. So share your story, and you might help someone, and it's worth it. Even if you get one impression on a post, but that person you change their day. Maybe they'll share with someone what they learned from you, and they might help that person. You never know who you're going to help indirectly either. So share away. Your experience is unique, and your story is unique. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Michael. I love it. It fits perfectly with the theme that we're always coming back to. Share those stories, everybody. Thanks for being here, Michael. I appreciate you. Appreciate you taking the time. Everybody in the comments, it's always good to see all of you. So many of you are here every week, and seriously, I appreciate you. I'm in Queens right now. Next week, I'll be up in the Adirondacks, up north from here, and Daniel Wolfsong and I will be talking. So I hope we see you then, and have a great Wednesday, everybody.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Michael.